Thank you for listening today on Revealing Wholeness, sponsored by Infinity Whole Health. Check out our website at infinityWholeHealth.com, where we are revealing the eternal in each individual, the infinite in the individual. The creativity is made manifest. Limitation is let go. Now, here's your host, Dr. Troy Munson.
Hello and welcome. I'm Dr. Troy Munson on Revealing Wholeness. And, here we are, Thursday morning, if you're catching this fresh. And last night, I did a Facebook Live on indiscretions on fried, fatty, fast foods. And one of the first things that we talk about is how do we really help our food when we know it's not got a lot of juice in it, so to speak. It's devoid of nutrition. Well, some of you have seen these pictures floating around the internet where they have, I think the Japanese, they took some pictures of water and then they crystallized the water and they saw its form. And they thought, well, why don't we go ahead and perform a blessing over this water? And we'll have another person perform a curse over the water. And somebody else just simply yell at the water. And then they freeze it and they see the crystalline structure of the water as it freezes. And the water that was thanked or blessed or talked well to had the most beautiful structures to it. And it was gorgeous. And then we have the water that was yelled at and spoke poorly to or cursed. And it has just almost like a mangled structure. It doesn't look aesthetic or uniform or symmetrical at all. It's totally chaos. And it was really fascinating. And what we realize is that if we simply perform a blessing or pray over our food, we all of a sudden impart energy on that food. And I want to go one step further because energy is kind of an important thing to us. Every thought in our life has an energy signature. If you've ever been around somebody who is really distraught or angry, the energy in the room is palpable. I mean, nobody can deny that. I mean, you just feel this uncomfortableness of it. And maybe even somebody is just so joyful. I love to watch some of these YouTubers that they do something for somebody and they like buy them a car or something. And the person's just totally like crying and happy and so grateful because it's totally what they needed. And to watch the YouTuber unprepared for that kind of an emotional outburst, and they almost play it off instead of learning from it and saying, you know what, I'm going to receive that thanks and hug that person and stay in that moment until it's done. And I keep wanting them to say, would you just say it's okay that you're emotional? And let me give you a hug until you're done with what you needed to receive. And it would be so much more powerful to watch. But anyways, I digress there. But energy is so important about what we do and our words. My daughter, because we homeschool, my daughter a couple years ago had a project where she had rice that she had cooked. And in a little jar of rice, all the same jars, she put some rice that she would bless and speak kind to every single day. And another jar of rice where she would speak ill of it or almost curse it or speak bad about it. And then a jar of rice that was cooked that she totally ignored. And what's interesting is the rice that was spoke kindly to continued to have bubbles come up and it was still white. And yes, it was fermented, but it wasn't an awful smell. It was rather pleasant. And then the rice that was spoken poorly to was brown and gross and didn't even have mold on it. It wouldn't even grow mold. The mold wouldn't even touch it. It was just kind of rotten. And then the rice that was ignored was black. It literally had nothing to it. And it was almost like the rice would rather be yelled at than completely ignored, because at least it felt like it existed or at least had some attention. It's kind of interesting, when we see children that are completely ignored and they're not happy people. I mean, they're pretty tough customers. And so same thing with our food. If we just ignore our food and sit on our phone and just eat mindlessly, that may not be so great of an idea. But to really look at our food and to thank the food and thank God if you wish and bless it completely, even if it's a McDonald's meal, can raise the energy signature of that food to something quite enlivened and actually help our body in an amazing way. And so even the water you drink, even the pop you drink, if you do, even the beer you drink, for crying in the night, you could bless any of it and raise its ability. But when we give a blessing, we're also receiving it inside of us, because every time we have a thought in our mind, and I've mentioned this on other podcasts, that thought has a specific energy signature and power behind it. If I think nasty thoughts all day long, those are going into my body and festering in my tissues and my organs. How healthy am I going to be by those negative thoughts? Not so healthy. But if I live in prayer and meditation and contemplation and thinking about what's awesome around me, what's good, what's joyful, what's admirable, what's lovely, what's kind, now do I really impart light and joy and peace everywhere I go. And that becomes the flavor of my words, the flavor of my being. And I bring that peace with me wherever I go, onto the food that I eat, into the rooms that maybe angry people have inhabited, and it totally dispels all of that. And I bring the light of God, or the light of peace, with me wherever I go. So a little excerpt on prayer and the importance of it and the energy behind it, and maybe even a little bit of the science behind it that totally proves that it is a beautiful thing and you should do it often. So I hope that helps. I hope that brings light to your life and makes your burden less burdensome, but more light-like. And until next time, I'm Dr. Troy Munson on Revealing Wholeness.
Thanks for listening. If you have any questions or comments, you can reach Dr. Munson at 360-893-8586 or email him at chiroman@dr.com. That's chiroman@dr.com. Check out our current workshop schedule on Facebook at Infinity Whole Health.